Okay, well, what I didn't want to happen just happened. Can't believe that. So let's give some time for people. Hello, well, I've just done what I didn't want to do. So let's give some people time to find me again. Hopefully you can. Okay, I'm really sorry. I did exactly what I didn't want to do, and that was to end the stream and have to start again because I was trying to race up the stairs, and I thought I've got to get myself out of this stream, and I hit end stream instead of actually doing what I was supposed to do. So I apologize, everybody. Oh dear. I'm hoping the comments will remain there. It was going so well. I know, I was pretty impressed that I was multitasking so well too. So, and I managed to stuff it up, hey? So I'll just give it a few more minutes for people to get in, and then we'll start. It's Rick's fault. Of course it's Rick's fault. Everything's Rick's fault. we make everything's Rick. We make everything's Rick's fault. Rick's fault because he's not here. So of course it's Rick's fault. So for those of you, we were having a discussion last night how she said that she was, she had no engagement on Twitter. So let's have a look. So, yes, so she said, my Twitter's beyond boring. No one likes or comments anything. I'll be on Insta. Ricky did it again. Kelly, hello, and lovely. Hello, Kelly. The chomping was so loud. Worse than I remember. It was very deliberate, in my view, Sassy. So then she said, hear that, Jim Bob, a man of great wrath will pay the penalty for if you deliver hear me or I have to do it again. And then she corrected it. So we'll just have a quick look through Twitter because there was something like 50 people on, and I want to give people a chance to find me again. Of course she's blocked everybody. I mean, that's what she was called out for yesterday, and of course she denies it. Then she goes, it's always super religious fundamentals that claim they care about everyone, but are too selfish to get vaccinated because they don't trust science. Hold on. Did you guys refuse to get vaccinated for whooping cough and then gave it to your son who's critically ill already and he almost died because you guys contaminated him? Is that true? Is that true? Because I have no idea. I hope that's not true. I've got 3 accounts and can't see anything of hers. Oops, she did it again. Normalize not making alt-right extremist Christians famous. Stop giving these people a platform. I'm talking to you, TLC. Lately, my whole channel is dedicated to debunking all the lies and abuse the network either admitted or covered up of these fundies. So she's saying she's dedicating her whole channel to it. Oh, you remember that, Sassy Nos? Yeah. Yes, you found me again. How much do you want to bet Jim Bob has partaken in cheese pizza himself? TLC need to go back to their old shows. TLC, she's talking to you. TLC should be absolutely ashamed for giving the Duggars a platform and ultimately more power, not to mention making them wealthy, not to mention recruiting in their cult. I'm disturbed by all of this. Don't criticize TLC. The parent company is Discovery. Cancel your Discovery subscription until they remove all cult programming that supports abusive religions. Discovery is a white-ring-led company, just like Sinclair Media, who provide 75% of local news coverage across the US. I'm blocked, but oh, you're not taught, but you don't talk to. There have been small measles outbreaks, yes. Anyway. Oops. Yeah, that's to all the survivors of the IBLP and other extremist sects within the IFP, keep speaking out and sharing your stories. Break the wall of silence. Never be afraid, and know that the Bible was twisted and used against you to serve the sadistic desires of terrible men. We are here for you. I have a good friend who has friends with Juliette Lewis's siblings. They convinced her the Church of Scientology was great. I warned her it was a cult. 3 years later, she admits it was, but she had to recognize it for herself to leave. It just takes time and education. You know, oh, no, she never tags them in it because she knows that they're her bread and butter. If TLC goes, what's she going to talk on? I love it when critics show up on my channel and claim I'm misrepresenting the cult teachings and what they believe about marriage, but refuse to read the dozens of comments from women cult survivors who state I'm explaining it exactly how they are taught. Most people in cults don't even read the material being taught to them like you do, so they really don't know what it says. They also don't have critical minds. I was like this growing up. Then I got older. I was like, wait a minute, that's not right. It's not people in the cult criticizing me. They will take discovery from my cold dead hand. There's plenty in the community highly critical, including those working within the community, doing the work, helping the women, improving social services, and pleading for WOACB to listen. It's done more harm to helping these services and leave harmful practices. So we've crafted this statement to address Catherine from OACB. I don't know who's written this, and implore you to reconsider how you've covered some of your communities and members of. Recently, you've made the statement that you will be reconsidering how you cover things. We beg of you to consider that with that, our cloistered communities especially, many of the members are vulnerable people in dire need of social services. Your actions, however, have impacted our abilities to provide services, advocacy, and outreach. We've become aware that families have been contacted and questioned for information for a few years, which has bred fear, continued fear that mocking or unauthorized stories and misinformation will be publicly relayed carelessly. You may be unaware, but works like yours can be used as propaganda by some to instill fear in their members, with some lifelines that have gone dark. We must be responsible when discussing these communities. And remember, these are often vulnerable people deserving of dignity and compassion, not to be shamed, mocked, or lied about. Many don't even have a voice to respond to your stories. Some of us have worked in these communities for years and care about the people. It's taken years to build trust and gain entry to provide much needed social services. We also have the appropriate education and understanding held to rigorous standings to best serve cloistered communities. More importantly, how to safely speak to them when called upon. We have been proactive in directly assisting to improve their communities and lives from within. Sometimes it's by building health centres and schools, and other times that means helping those who want to leave do so safely and enter mainstream society with support. You claim to care and want better for these communities, yet your actions and mocking say otherwise. We have never asked for your cancellation. We ask that you do better, be more responsible with your platform and compassionate. You may not care about these communities and see them as a way to get views and earn a living, but we do care. We've done the works. We hope you hear our plea and take heart that these people and families deserve dignity and compassion. Consider that your words can have reaching consequences. We look forward to your improvements as you move forward. So there it is. So that's from one of the communities. So she never takes a swig at, so she knows that would be fair. Well, she does. She knows, and she won't vote. The guy interviewed last night saying he regrets it. Yes, I saw that as well. No one gets between you and Meerkat Kingdom. Yes. Well, he did some research, actually. All right. So then someone says, a lady on TikTok tried to tell me you were the devil. I posted a comment on an ex-IBLP member page and some lady responded, and to stop watching you. I told her, I'm sorry she feels that way, but I've learned a lot from you. Do you plan to stop monetizing off this trauma like Josh's ex-friend has asked? So we've got that one. Read survivor stories, see literature, and learn about how the IBLP got it wrong. Homeschoolers Anonymous, apparently. She shared a link. And Recovering Grace. She's sharing tips. So I guess now she's going to say that she's shared resources. Now, I have to tell you, I checked out the Preacher's Boy site earlier. He actually has a whole section for survivors with counsellors and numbers and information about people that need to get assistance. All right. Women, know this. You have every right to say no to sex with your husband. A marriage contract does not give your husband a license to R, abuse, or SAU. No means no. Any man that does not respect that is not worth being married to. I agree. The longer you're married, the less sex takes precedence in your relationship. Sex is not the same as love. A man that tries the old chestnut, it's because I love you, blah, blah. No true love requires respect. So respect your wife when she says no. I guess that says a lot about your sex life in your marriage. Where do people come up with this? I'll say a prayer for you tonight. Do you plan to stop monetizing off this trauma like Josh's ex-friend has asked? My eyes put on extras. Okay. Yes, she Sassy Noz, that's correct. KJ admits to using his site as a source. IBLP destructive cult. Jesus, in response to criticism of religious people, answered, well, did Isaiah prophecy of you hypocrites, as it written, this people honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. Vain do they worship me. Beware false doctrine. And then the next question, do you plan to stop monetizing off this trauma like Josh's ex-friend has asked? She's going to ignore the monetized question. Well, I have no doubt. And I did actually post a response to the Preacher Boy too. Keep blowing that whistle. There are children and women being abused that need to be rescued. Thank you. Yes, their life is 90% about how you respond. Part of the right response is being a whistleblower to the others that are protected. And what does this one say? Do you plan to stop monetizing? It's a wonder she hasn't blocked that person, hey? Derek Dillard once compared the IBLP and Jim Bob Duggar to Epstein. I now understand why he made the comparison. The men in this cult seem to broker their daughters into marriages. Girls with purity simply get the gifts, the highest gifts from their dads of grooms. It's trafficking, plain and simple. No, that's not trafficking. So she uses this site for sources but couldn't recommend it when she was asked for resources to leave or be cancelled. Correct, Will. She could not recommend it. I think someone I saw randomly this morning said that they think O has flagged her for copyright because when they checked, she wasn't changing any. Really? Derek Dillard has urged people to vote for Roy Moore, a mandate to teenagers in his thirst. I hope Dillard now sees the error of his ways supporting such a candidate. Oh, I doubt it. His mum encouraged people to support Roy Moore. Derek said since there wasn't proof Moore did anything illegal, he doesn't believe that the women came forward. It was better to have Republicans in power. Nevertheless, do you plan to stop monetizing off the trauma? Who asked? Did they ask? Link, please. What is their reason? Did they ask every other media outlet to stop making money off this trauma? Thank you in advance for providing me with the info I've requested. He clearly states it's on his channel of the exact info that she's getting from. Am I supposed to know who he is? Because I don't. I worked in international human trafficking for the US government for 30 years. My interest in this case, family religion, is strictly true to Josh and his crimes. I'm trying to educate myself quickly. I have a set plan action. One of the resources she put in, she said at one time they hadn't updated years, so why did she even put it in? Yeah. Oh, that was, yes, Grace. Recovering Grace. She said they hadn't updated for years. Yeah. So I haven't seen her before, but she popped up in my recommendations. Oh, okay. Derek Dillard calls out Jim Bob. Jim must pay for what he's done. Dip of the iceberg. Did the Duggars try to help a well-known puzzle? That's where she does the doxing. I want to thank Petra Boy for joining me on my Instagram Live. His podcast has been instrumental in working to dismantle the IFB cult and exposing all the abuse that happens in this group. I thought he turned down a week. You mean, oh, actually, I'll find there is something. Someone said Trisha and Ethan brought me up on frenemies. I haven't watched and probably won't. I have no idea if it's true. Either way, my tweets that I posted had minimal engagement, so I certainly hope I'm not being called a bully for sharing my opinion. I spout off on Twitter. Literally no one ever responds, and I don't cover YouTube trauma on my channel. I do have opinions and I'll share them, but I'm not bullying anyone, especially since my channel is a fraction of the size. You were not mentioned. They did not mention you at all. Nope. They only alluded to Gabby Hanna. Now my haters are trying to justify 21-year-old man grooming the 13-year-old and getting her pregnant at 16. It's illegal. It's full stop. He was arrested. You people are gross. It seems your haters would justify those that engage in bestiality if you spoke out against the sickos. Honestly, I've never seen anything like your detractors. Bitterness is bad for the soul and advances aging. Also, haters send people to your channel to see why. Thanks, haters. So no one responds to KJ because you're like Karen. Can confirm she did not get mentioned on Friends. Gary Hannah was referred to not by name, but not KJ. Okay. So I'm covering a cult, the abuse in the cult. The Duggars just happen to be the most famous members of the cult. If you're okay with women abusing children, covering up crimes, then don't watch. I'm going to do my best to expose this cult for what it is. Girl, you do you. Haters will defend Hitler himself if they choose to hate a creator enough. Ridiculous. False. We don't defend the abuse. We have a problem with her exploitation for clicks and views. She's doing more harm than good. Her actions alone in reporting is the issue. No one should act excited about what she does. There's another TLC show called Born with Albinism. I thought that'd be a normal family. But there's some telltale signs, the girls with long hair and homeschooling thing going on. I wonder if they're super religious. You're the one that can do some digging and find out. I'll take a peek. OMG, I just found the answer. She said the magic words, Quiverville. And look what she's written here. You're doing a fantastic job exposing this terrible cult. I pray they cancel this show already. Yeah, I know. All right, and then to the members of the IPLP considering leaving, I might direct you to 2 websites to provide survivor stories and education about how the group has misused the Bible. Recovering Grace and Homeschoolers Anonymous are great resources if you're thinking about leaving. Well, she actually hasn't done anything about, she didn't promote Preacher Boy's site either. So, are you asking it to stop monetizing off the trauma of murder victims, war crimes, etc.? This activism against abusing women, children, and religion for power takes time, and is her chosen profession. Do you get paid for your work? Ignore Zag. She's so obsessed with Katie that she can't even grasp onto the fact that Josh's ex-friend specifically didn't want what he said to be monetized. She couldn't even demonetize that one video. Morally corrupt she is, and so are her stupid stands. Such a terrible cult. They didn't even rate, didn't they? Wow. Right, so that's that one. All right. What was I going to show you now? Let's get onto this video, because this is Hey Poppy, by the time it gets to be our turn, they will have got it down to a tablet. Hopefully, we just have to take a pill. Yes, I heard that too. All right, here we go.
Kind of sweaty in here. So sweaty. Just gonna wait for you guys to come here. Hi. How is everyone? Hope you're having a good day.
I was having a good day.
All right. I am currently in the process of rendering my video about this cover-up stuff that happens in the IBLP. And I wanted to just come on here and say thank you to all of the survivors and people that have come from the IBLP and that are no longer in the IBLP, or those of you that have been into it until recently.
So she's thanking everyone for her money, is she? I told someone overseas that people under 50 aren't supposed to get AstraZeneca because it's not considered safe, and they started lecturing me like I was anti-vax. Sorry, the gov said so. Leave me alone. Well, that's right. It's our government that said, no, if you're under 50, you can't get AstraZeneca. You have to get Pfizer. If you're over 50, you can't get Pfizer. You can only have AstraZeneca. That's what the government said.
And are now starting to realize what's going on. I just want to thank you for sending me messages.
I'm sorry, commentator auditor. Thank you to all those that have taken your story and making it my own so I can make this money. Yes.
And for reaching out, sharing your stories. I know that this is all very triggering for you guys. I also know it's all very, it's emotional.
So as I've already told you, if you get triggered, don't watch. That's the response she uses, isn't it? If it's triggering, don't watch. How long was she off? 6 hours, Laura.
So really hard to see what's happening, and also realizing what you've gone through isn't normal. It's abuse, and I am not ex-IBLP, but that, in case, answering Taylor's question, no, I'm not ex-IBLP. I have been covering the IFB for years, and anyways.
You'll find that it goes from years to 3 to 4 years. We don't have that anymore. It's supposed to be coming back for people that were on their own risk. The question is, when is KJ not triggering? Kim, she posted that link about Preacher Boy after he'd been on. So
I wanted to say thank you to those of you that have been reaching out and who have been sharing your stories and helping
me make my money. Because I've been able to convince people that they're my stories, not your stories.
Helping me in so many ways connect dots that I cannot connect on my own. I want to thank you guys for helping me with terminology, helping me understand the best way to talk about this cult, the best way to reach people, and also just helping me
And it'll say, come up with pause. See live video pause. She keeps pausing the video. Has she ever talked about anything else that's really positive, like kittens or rainbows? No, she's not. Because I don't know how dots work. Helping me make money. Oh, let me just tell you what I said to, I did respond to the Preacher podcast. Let me tell you what I said to him. I said, where are we? Oh, it doesn't last long. Trust me. I think he also got a lot of emails at the end of the day too, warning him. So I said, unfortunately, she's only interested in the money. She will tell you she's the main breadwinner. She offered no resources for victims. She regularly reveals her sources and has no respect for anyone. I found she tried to talk over you and to imply that she knew more than you. That's what I wrote to that response that he said. Hello, Christine. For a person that is supposed to have 40K followers, she only has a few people in her lives. She does. It gets a few more when the other guy comes on. Hey, police wife life. She doesn't care about helping any of them. Just let me know your stories. Well, at the very end, she said she doesn't sign NDAs. There are people who are saying that they want her to sign an NDA to protect them, and she says she doesn't sign NDAs. So I'm assuming that she won't sign NDAs under any circumstances. So I guess we're going to find out how. I guess we know how the negotiations are going. Good job, Joe. I saw on Twitter many. Look, I think that people weren't being mean or nasty. They were just saying to him, just watch out. And we also know that she has a habit of doxing people too when they turn their back on her. Well, this is the thing, Kim. But now it's interesting because since that tweet was posted, she's posted resources. So you tell me what's going on. Her way of connecting dots is more like a zigzag of unorganized numbers.
We understand the seriousness, the severity, and how in this cult, along with how few people in the cult are held accountable. And I know a lot of you guys are feeling really scared. And I know there's some of you guys that are watching that are confused. And like some of you are not surprised because you've left. Some of you are on the toes and you're about to leave. And if I can...
Okay, Preacher Boy, Doc says, new to your page, appreciate your work. Watch to go all fangirly. Watch.
I can tell you anything. There's a few resources that you might want to consider using. There's a website called recoveringgrace.org. That website was developed, I think, in like 2012 or so, when a lot of people that were around Bill Gothard started to share stories about sexual abuse and sexual harassment they experienced by Gothard and other leaders within the IBLP. And it was through that website, and they were able to sort of band together a lot of survivors, and that lawsuit happened, and there was like a lot of action that was taken against them. But on that website, there is a ton. Oh, Preacher Boys! Oh my God, Preacher Boy, can we do a collab? Because I have heard that you are phenomenal, and I would love to do something with you. All of my subscribers have told me over and over and over again how amazing.
There you go. Look at the fan. She just stops what she's talking about. Christoph fan always says, "Who, please?"
Oh. You are, and I would love. I've been like wanting to work with other creators on this. I just think the.
Didn't she say she was the only source on it all? Didn't she say she was the only one that could be trusted for the information? this Twitter post at the time because I'd be interested in whether it was before or after she was giving out the results. I think it was after. Don't do it. Don't move with them. Oh, hello, Don Williams. That's her excited face. But their followers aren't allowed to mention. Well, that's the problem. I don't know why this was happened. She does. She puts on I actually had in my original title that she flirted and fangirled, and I thought, I can't say that. He did his research, it appears. I highly doubt he'll collab with her in the future. Yeah, she puts the sparkly filter on and she flicks the hair and she eats the M&Ms. Then she overtalks him and then tells him how he's supposed to feel. And then she says, when he says that he was still, I really think that he shared something on Reddit. She said she asked him for an interview and he said no. So I'm confused. It may have been another guy yes, it may have been the other guy that was friends with Joss. She did that too.
On this, the better. This is like a huge undertaking. And it's like, I'm realizing as I get further into this and as more and more people are coming forward, that it's going to be really hard for me to be focusing on anything else right now.
Which organization are you donating the money from the survivor stories to? Someone asks. That got ignored. Joe, if you collab with me, I will totally go OMG. Marissa, the preacher boys. You'll find out in a minute.
Because anytime I start working on another project or I try to look at another story, I get more people in my inbox that have...
He says, for sure, hit me up a DM. And then someone says, I am an actual lawyer who can explain the legal stuff to you.
More stories. And there's just so many survivors reaching out to me right now, just feeling like, finally, someone's talking about it.
Did you all listen to Justin's podcast? It was amazing. Well, Justin, I've got a screenshot to show on that because Justin, somebody has said to him about the fact that she hadn't demonetized that. Yes, Kim, I did the first payment the other. I still haven't got my AdSense money. I will be doing that very shortly once I get it. He says here, just a heads up, something for these videos leads to another creator who is dissecting your words and adding salacious details. Not only is she monetizing these clips, but countless people are requesting her to put trigger warnings, and she's telling them, if you don't like it, leave. Hi, Sarah. I'm very sorry to hear that. We've asked YouTube to review fair use compliance. That's the extent of what we can do. Beyond requesting general decency. Well, that ain't going to work. Someone else says, if this is without a crystal ball you're talking about, she's incredibly problematic on so many levels. Many people can't stand her. Well, if they're wanting general decency, they won't get it. Anytime I get a story, I get distracted by Duggars wearing pants. I would have had a permanent smile on my face if he got that on there and said, you should go watch Emily Baker. Or actually promote somebody's book, and she doesn't like that either.
We have a place to do this. Finally,
He says, it's super time consuming. I don't know how you maintain the volume of content you do because she doesn't do anything else. Preacher boy, he actually spends time with his wife and daughter, believe it or not.
People listening. And finally, we might get some justice. So I cannot promise you guys we're going to dismantle this cult, but I can say that I feel like if more people start, it is super, okay, he says it's super time consuming. I don't know how you maintain the volume of content you do. It is so time consuming. So today, for instance, let me tell you something.
So someone says, I wish you could collaborate with Justin. His entire podcast was amazing. Well, Justin won't touch her with a top 5-foot pole because she stole his content, and she admits to stealing Preacher Boy's content too.
I was going to be doing a video about something about Josh and the neighbors, right? And while I'm looking in my DMs, I get a message from this woman, and she says, do you know the Caleb Williams story that you shared yesterday? And I said, yeah. And she goes, well, do you know who Caleb's Williams family is? And I said, no. And she's like, oh, well, his grandfather is S.M. Davis. And I was like, okay. Of course, I get a lot of leads, you guys. I get a lot. So sometimes I have to vet things. So I had to verify that. So what I did was, I was like, do you know what his name is? Because it's really weird. He goes by initials. And I was like, why does he go by initials? And I guess it's because his name is Sharon, Sheron. And apparently he's like kind of sensitive that he has like.
All right, so the guy was sensitive about his name, and she's just like blurted it all out. But that's not the doxing I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is a lot worse.
A female name or something, which is totally patriarchal to be sensitive about your name if it's a girl name because they hate women. And he goes by SM. And so I start digging through things, and I figure out that I go on to, I start looking through a bunch of things, and I realize that his daughter, Dawn, whose actual legal name is Jennifer. I don't know why all of these people use different names. That's a whole other thing I want to undertake, because I feel like there might be some, and I'm not accusing anyone of fraud here, but I feel like there might be some fraud going on here. And I know.
I don't want to make any accusations, but I feel like there's fraud going on here. My auntie that just passed away, she actually changed her name because she'd just gone through a really bad divorce, and she actually wanted to start a new life with a clean slate, with nobody knowing any of what had gone on in the past. And so she changed her whole name. There was nothing to hide. She just wanted to do that. Shezon. It's Portuguese, is it? See, I can't pronounce it. Sharon. They use different names because people like UK Sharon. A bit like your taxes. Okay.
People move around a lot because I feel like they might be running from things. But again, not confirmed. All of this is just sort of a hunch. So they're like, Sharon is a great name. It is. It's a beautiful name. Why would you care if your name is Sharon? It's a great name, Sharon. So anyways, SM's grandson is Caleb. I'm able to confirm this sneakily by going to the sex offender registry that has Caleb's address listed. And I'm able to cross-reference the address that he stays at to find out that the address that he's at is actually owned by SM Davis. So on the sex offender registry, you can see the address. I'm going to redact all of that from my videos.
It's actually not redacted. You can actually find out where this guy lives, and I'll show you.
Dox him.
She doesn't want to dox him, but she does. I can even take you to the exact spot. I can tell you exactly where to go on the spot to get it. KJ, a third of the country move in the US every single year. Oh, there's always people moving house for whatever reasons.
You can see that the property records are owned by SM, and he's living with his grandparents. So apparently SM Davis and Jim Bob Duggar became tight like this, right? And once they started teaming up, it sort of became this, like, they promoted SM and SM kind of promoted them, and they kind of were like the powerhouse. So SM Davis was sort of...
Someone says, you are so good at this. Exactly why my channel's not under my real name, because I do videos on people like KJ, and I do not want to be doxed by someone like her. Yes, people move all the time, mainly for employment purposes. Correct.
This was sort of like the IFB pastor extraordinaire about rebellious kids.
Katie the Sleuth, it says under there. Katie the Sleuth.
And and the Duggars were like the powerhouse in the IBLP, and they kind of like became like this power friend group. And apparently the guys in this group, the dads, are really obsessed with like their public faces and the family name, and they will do whatever they can to cover up anything that's not matching what their ministry is. So another thing I'm learning,
actually, in defense of the preacher boy, let's just say we were all sucked in by her at one point in time, thinking that she knew what she was talking about. We probably watched the video and went, oh, that's really good. I'll watch another video. And then, it's only when we started to get into more and more videos did we realize that there was a problem. KJ has a degree in Spanish, but flubbed a Portuguese name. Make that make sense. Oh, the investigative mind that KJ is. Who knows what she'll uncover next.
these people is they're a bunch of grifters, and they've all found a way to monetize God, and they all have their own brand of ministry that they're selling to people. And so because of that, they want people to believe that whatever they're selling is going to work, and so their families have to be perfect.
She's talking about grifting off God, isn't she? Making her money off God because she's going after the Duggars. I just put views out there. But he only had to put a name in YouTube. That's correct. True. Totally clueless. Yes, I am. Yes, well, I'm a military around me moved all the time. It was Scouts. I'm adopted. I have two names depending who I'm with. I use different names. Yes, but in the same family.
And when you monetize God on like rules, and you turn the Bible into a self-help group.
Says, what about creating a Zoom support group? So she ignores all of these. People are saying, well, what about a support group?
Which was never written that way. You realize that these people are literally doing this not to evangelize. It's all about money. They all want money.
Just like you.
Doing this because they don't want to have other jobs. They want to evangelize.
Yes, you don't want another job, and you want to evangelize to your masses, right? We got the cult of Katie here.
You guys into their group to buy their products, and they want you to listen to all of their friends who are also monetizing God. But then they're in this cult, right, where all of the rules benefit the men. And all of the rules make it so that men will never lose control. So you have a bunch of rules in place so that the man will literally never lose control. And you have all these controls set up so that nobody can learn information. You discourage critical thinking. You discourage people from being around anyone else. Gold Duggars. Yes, preacher boy. 100%.
The link is to a doc that explores the monetizing religion by vandalism. KJ's face when talking about the Duggars. I know and she essentially admits that she's not going to be doing any other content at the moment so she's gonna flog this topic until it's done to death. And I think, unfortunately, it's going to just destroy all the hard work people who've all the hard work people have done. She's the biggest money-hungry twat to walk the earth, says Scouse. Special shout-out to Preacher Boy. Oh, yeah, she's, look at the face. She's just loving it.
So, here. Let's just add. You want to go live? Why not? It's such a cult. Gold Duggars is genius. It is. It's so genius. So I'm going to see if he wants to go live. If he doesn't have to if he doesn't want to. But he's so active in there. It's like, well, maybe he'll want to talk. But they are all, they mentioned me in a video. No. But they're busy canceling everyone.
create a Zoom support group. She won't because she can't make money from it.
So anyways, if they are, they're all doing a bunch of stuff and they're all monetizing God. They're all trying to get you to buy their brand of Christianity. They all have the answers for what you should do for God. And then if they have a kid in there that's screwed up, it totally ruins their credibility because they want you to believe they have all the answers. So for Jim Bob, he wants you to believe that he has this perfect family and he has all of these answers. So the show has to look a certain type of way. He was also a politician, so he's also very good at like lying. I mean, come on. Most politicians are kind of liars, in my opinion. And
oh, that's funny. Even is she just talking about Republicans or is she talking about Democrats as well? Like she said, most. I find it interesting, ironic that she always talks about the Duggars, yet she makes a living from them. If the Duggars and others like them were gone tomorrow, where would she be? Nowhere. She'd have to go and find a real job.
I can join, but my hair just done, or just what I'm staring at. Okay. You don't have to have your hair done. That's so funny. But anyways, this is like a massive undertaking, and I'm going to be putting out this video about the whole SM cover-up thing. Hi!
She said it's so different. It's so disingenuous. It is, isn't it?
Your hair is fine. Got volume? Volume? There's no volume. Oh. Turn your volume up. I don't know how to turn his volume up. Does anyone know how to turn his volume up?
Now look,
your little microphone, is it off?
She's put sparkles on. The Duggars have addressed that they are like any other family multiple times on this show. They argue they don't always get on, but they can be pretty petty against each other. She could be around forever. Look at the sparkles. She's sparkling now.
There should be a little microphone. There's no microphone? Here, let me try. Let's try this again. Jump out and I'll add you back.
Yeah, she's going to start eating now.
Frustrating. Can you jump out? Here. How do I... Uh-oh. Turn off night mode. Okay. Let me see if I can get you to come back on. And come back on.
Now, I'm sorry. Like, talking while you're eating to me on a live is gross. Hello, Diane. Is gross, in my opinion.
Make sure that your microphone is on your, make sure that Instagram can access your microphone. I think that might be the problem. Yeah, not silent mode. Side button on this. Yeah, his podcast is awesome. No, yeah, he has to turn his microphone on his end. Okay. Let's try this again. dinner.
She's just finishing her dinner. M&M's, apparently. She's unprofessional. She does talk over him, don't? Like, I found it was really horrible. It's not just rude to her followers, it's rude to her guests on the stream show. Seriously, eating or doing a live is so unprofessional. I mean, come in and have some. I know, it's like, I found it just rude. And that the talking while eating. She doesn't have her own Rick wheel.
Hey, hear me?
Hi, there you go.
How about that? Sorry about my hair. I wasn't expecting. I was laying on my couch watching a live, and then saw your request. I was like, that was an accident, right? So
No, I've seen your interestingly. I
oh,
follow.
Sarah Jackson. What's up?
What name?
Sorry, Sarah Jackson in the comments. Just saw her. So she's a friend. That's how I say hey. But
No.
She does at the start, Dom. Look, she's like fangirling.
In your podcast, and I've actually used your website before because you have a list of like all the IFB pastors that have been accused of or convicted of sexual assault.
Yeah.
So I actually know who you are. Yeah, I've been following the IFB for like 3 or 4 years.
So that's called the preacher boy, the preacher's boy or something, Doc, the preacher boy Doc or something. And her stands just want to look, just tell me now, married or single, should I save myself from developing a crush now? She has to woo with her female powers. I think she might.
And I noticed that time that there were so many offenders. Like every other day, there was like a pastor being arrested for sexual abuse, sexual assault.
Yeah.
And there was this like explosive article that came out by the Star Gazette in Dallas, I think.
yeah, I think it might be Fort Worth, but yeah, the Star Telegram did a crazy
Star Telegram.
article. Yeah.
And then they removed it, I think. I don't know. 186 pastors in the IFB that have been moved around, convicted of sexual assault, and they're all connected to each other. And
She's in fangirl mode, acting like a teen girl, meeting her favorite artist or actor in person for the first time. I know, isn't it? It's like.
I was like, this is like the Catholic Church, but in the Baptist world.
Yeah, it's and what's shocking about it too, like building up the list and like even the research, like you mentioned, the Star Telegram, a small paper in Texas, spending time researching found. I think really they found there was a lot more, but the ones that they actually published were the ones that they published were the ones.
And she's still eating while he's talking. I can't believe it.
To confirm or had actually been charged, I believe.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is the numbers with how small the movement is compared to the Catholic Church. Because the thing I always tell people is like there is always a chance when you have 100 people in a room. Statistically, a few of those people aren't going to be good people. But when you've got a denomination of 5,000 churches, and they're batting really high numbers like the Catholic Church is, it's pretty shocking.
Well, in the Catholic Church, it was like super different because past like priests are, and I grew up Catholic, so I can speak to this.
She grew up Catholic. She dang autocorrect. I think this guy's more handsome. Someone says this girl is literally a toxic drama channel that was sued by a beauty guru for defaming them. Why are you giving her a platform? She has a mouth full of M&M's. Crazy. Bet she was joyfully available tonight. She may have been. The good news is he's aware of her problem. Yes, he is aware now.
They're abstinent, and so there's that whole aspect.
They're supposed to be.
Right. Yeah. They're like their only sex is like loving on God. and they're so religious they don't have to have sex. When you take away, what the Catholics' problem is they take away sex, like the sex from a human, which is insane, which I think drives a lot of the abuse.
Oh dear. Hey Todd, come get your girl. She's drooling over another man. I enjoy my peanut butter M&Ms, but I don't eat them on stream. Toad is too busy carving out guitars and praying to the All-Father Odin.
Because they're telling a normal sexual being that they can't have sex. Yeah. And then with the IFB, they do it conversely, in that all of their rules support the man having as much sex as he wants, and then all of their rules cover the men up and make it so the victims can't be.
Like, why is she telling him all of this? He knows all of this. Like, this is what I don't understand. Why is she lecturing him? Why isn't she just saying, hey, preacher boy, why don't you tell us about your experience? Why don't you talk to us about your podcast? What is it that you cover? Why don't you talk about this? But no, she wants to tell him all about what he already knows because he grew up in it. He grew up in it. He knows. He knows.
Yeah. And sex is idolized so much too. You know what I mean? Like it's the best thing in the world, and every youth pastor talks about it, and every pastor talks about it nonstop. But then they say, don't do it, no matter what. You know, and so there's this immense amount of pressure.
The amount of literature, IBLP's curriculum for kids, by the way, on sex is disturbing.
Yeah. Well, there was one. It was from their counseling curriculum, but I'm sure you've seen it.
Hello, John. Marissa, hi, nice to meet you. Let's talk about sex and eat and M&Ms. Yes, hey, I don't know you, but I want to talk about sex. KJ seems to love to lecture and thinks she knows more than anyone else does. John, he grew up in that world. He was born in it. Once again, first topic, sex. Hi, Kelly. Why doesn't she make it all about him like a normal interview? That's what I'm saying, Don. Like, find out about why isn't she going, so how about such and such? You talked about last week on your podcast. I know. This is what I don't understand. And let him speak more than 2 words. Yeah, she keeps cutting him off. Catholics don't. They just say no to premarital sex. I ran an internet radio show and I knew more on how to interview people.
On this, but there's, how do we make sense of a 5-year-old boy being sexually abused?
Yes.
I don't know if you've seen this, but and so even from the top down, like they're so focused on the sexuality of children. You know what I mean? And so that's where like I look at a Josh Duggar who kind of was the ideal version of all of this teaching and like the kind of star student, so to speak. And it kind of makes sense when you follow it. He's not, and this is what everybody needs to understand about the IFB and all of these abuse cases and Gothard being an extreme version of this is that there are these people that are kind of outliers, but I would say the people that do abuse are just going to the logical conclusion of the teaching that they're following. The good people in the movement are the people that are hearing it but not actually enacting it. You know what I mean? Like all the people that actually follow the teaching to a T and believe the way they do about women, believe the way they do about children. Like the people that abuse are just kind of following the logical outcome of this kind of teaching.
Yeah.
And someone commented, "Did you grow up IFB?" Yeah, I grew up in it for the first 18 years, and then like Godfather 3, just when I thought I was out, they dragged me back in, and I was back in it for about 2 years, and then I ended up leaving again.
So he grew up in it, and then he left and came back. I don't understand why she's not using his knowledge as a way to encourage people to leave. But yeah, it just bugged me so much. Munch, Judy.
It's, and I'll be honest, like, it's scary a little bit for me to talk to men from the IFB, because some of the guys that have left, even though they've left the cult, they still have incredibly misogynistic views of women.
Yeah.
And they can be incredibly abusive when you speak to them. And it's like, I get freaked out when I get up. Like, I'm so glad you're nice.
What made you leave for good is my question. Well, that's right. There was lots of questions that would make her require to think outside the event. Look at this. Look at this smile.
I know that not all the guys are terrible, but it's so scary because it breeds misogyny.
Yeah. Well, in full transparency, like that's something that I've been figuring out too as I've been out of it, because I've been out of it for really like almost 6 or 7 years, like to be from when I was completely immersed in it, maybe 8 now. And I'm constantly unlearning things that were kind of programmed in, and even things that I didn't really think about. You know what I mean? Like, for example, the complementarian stuff that stuck with me for a long time after, and it was reworking it. And even some of that this year, like some of the guests I've had on, like Beth Alice Barr, like changed a lot of perspectives on that. I realized there was a lot of like inherent kind of racial bias and stuff that I just didn't think about. And so there's, my thing is I give a lot more grace probably to people that are first coming out of it, because they get taught and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So he says he gives a lot more grace to people coming out of it because he's experienced, and she's going, yeah. And
I think a lot of people, when they get out, they tend to just lash out at those people. I think there is a lot of like unlearning that has to happen, because I mentioned this on the show yesterday when I was interviewing somebody, is that you're taught this stuff before you learn 1 + 1 = 2, and
right.
The alphabet. You're learning heaven, hell, dress with a dress beneath your knees, not for guys, but for the girls in the movement,
right.
or wear a suit, or all these things, and that can have that's implanted deeper than anything else.
They're taking your development and they're wiring your brain around these ideas. And
like, this is what I don't understand. Why is she telling him this? He's explaining. She had to cut him off because she's high. She can't help herself. Her top chat. Oh no, so she only focused on sexual abuse, and there was so much more to what they had suffered. There is. I think KJ was a troll in the past life. So I'd love to know what media agencies doesn't she know that have a code of ethics to follow. Well, the thing is, most media agencies do have a, and this is why I'm saying she can't be a journalist, because even independent journalists have a code of ethics that they follow. And she's got no code of ethics.
That's why that's why people that have been in it their whole lives have such a hard time getting through it, because your development from the ages of like 3 to 5 years old are the most foundational in your life. And so in those years, if they are programming this into you, it becomes a part of you, and it's hard to unwork that.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's second nature. It's like literally, it's like, if someone told you the sky's actually not blue, you'd be like, well, I was tough.
Well, yeah,
I was
right.
a little kid, And so
I felt like that was the same for me. Like, God is not going to punish me. God is not going to come down right now. And I didn't just stub my toe because God was mad about something I did in the sin inside.
Wow. So, yeah, she's over-talking him so much. And so it's like people saying, how much unteaching did you have to do? I can't imagine the pain. Seriously, she should be asking those questions. People are asking normal, proper questions. I'd be interested in his unlearning. No? How's his unlearning go? Does he have times when he wants to be back? He does actually mention about the fact about the fellowship. The atheist she is. Look at her darting eyes. Beatrix. Is this Preacher Boys? Yes, that is it. Yes, that's who it is. He posted to say that he put on Twitter, I think I've got a screenshot of it, that that he's since done some research after receiving some messages, and he's probably not likely to collab again with her.
Myself, because that's like what my grandparents would tell me. So, I mean, I think all religions have their own control. The IFB's is obscene, though, the amount of control.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And I grew up my parents were staff and still are at an IFB church, and it was a totally different. I was there 7 days a week, and I went to.
So he's now talking about how his parents were staff, and he literally lived on the premises. I mean, here's a chance to ask, what was it like? Why do some people have to hate groups of cults, have problems leaving? Is why people who leave hate groups or cults have problems leaving or going back. That's right. Seems like she was in the cult and not that guy. It's not really a collab, though. It is KJ with somebody new. Oh, well, that's right.
Went to kindergarten through
Were you ready?
graduation, one campus,
So he's just started talking about schooling, and now we're going to bring it back.
Were you radically pro-life? That's what I've learned. A lot of these women.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Now, what she says here absolutely horrifies me, I have to tell you. And I think if this didn't raise if he hadn't had any red flags, this should right now. So she's asking him, was he radically pro-life? No, first of all, KJ, it's none of your business. Maybe it's not the person. Read awake or not, just put. That's so good. I read. Yeah, people were warned. Joe, we should do a collab where you interrupt me and do delight at me. I'm happy to do a collab with anyone, Will, except you'll find that I will let you do most of the talking. As you've seen when I've done most collabs. when I've had people on, I generally just step back and let them run the show.
People are radically pro-life, like that's a thing they say.
There may or may not be somewhere on the internet me at a protest. So there's probably some stuff. I mean, I was everything, and again, that's what politically, scientifically, all that kind of stuff was just so deeply ingrained. And the thing is, the black and white truth stuff was taught really hard, but then also what wasn't taught was empathy. You know what I mean? And so even if you do have a position, where I would still say in a lot of ways I'm pro-life, but my approach to it would be provide resources for people so that they don't have to take that route. You know what I mean? That's an option, or provide better stuff for Medi-Cal, for Californians, for government healthcare and that kind of stuff.
Spend a few more years out and you'll be pro-choice, because it's literally nobody's business what happens in other people's uteruses, and that's what.
Did you just hear that? Did you just hear what she said? A few more years out and you'll be pro-choice because it's nobody's business what happens in somebody else's uterus. He said he was probably pro-choice, but he would like to do. I'm just going to rewind that. I just found that I just found that really, really bad, and that was a very uncomfortable laugh from him. KJ, it's none of your business what somebody else believes.
Where, I would still say in a lot of ways I'm pro-life, but my approach to it would be provide resources for people so that they don't have to take that route. You know what I mean? That's an option, or provide better stuff for Medi-Cal, for Californians, for government healthcare and that kind of stuff.
Spend a few more years out and you'll be pro-choice, because it's literally nobody's business what happens in other people's uteruses, and that's what I always tell people. But all of that has to be unworked, and if you don't get there, that's fine, as long as you're not pushing it on other people.
Well, that's the thing is where's the empathy? You know what I mean? Can you sit down?
Did she just say respect? She didn't respect his decision. He's still pro-life, but give it a few years. She didn't respect what he said. And empathy. So what? He did say he felt educational choices and better healthcare. Well, why can't you have a conversation? Laura, that's what I was yelling. I was yelling, shut up. I was thinking, preacher boys, come on to mine, collab with me. You can talk as much as you like. Seriously, whether he was pro-life or pro-choice, it's nobody's decision but his. And that's my point. I think his position is fine. Ladies need to make sure they know what they're doing. He said that like he was asking her about where her empathy was. Yeah.
It's the same thing we saw in the last political cycle. You know what I mean? Like, you can disagree about how we go about something, but you have to take, for example, if you want to talk about the racial, conversation, like, where's the empathy in that? You know what I mean? Like, my opinion as a white guy on whether or not there's, racism within the U.S. really doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I want to hear what the perspective is.
Well, it doesn't help that you were taught like all this underlying racism in the IFB and the IBLP. It's so racist. I mean, they're all Confederate loving, general loving, like obsessed with like no federal laws. Everything should have been states' rights, and because had to get rid of the slaves and give people rights, that's like they hate civil rights. It's the weirdest thing. They hate civil rights, but they want to have their own rights. It's like, they want the rights that you want to have. They only want the rights that they want to have.
What's funny is I missed a lot of that in the initial IFB world. Like, I missed a lot of the racism. Like, there was definitely things that were there, but when I left, I went into kind of the reformed circles right away, and I got sucked into the Mark Driscoll, Jeff Durbin, Apologia kind of world, and the Douglas Wilson
I always
world.
The reformist side is like just a different brand.
It's just Reformed Fundamentalist Baptists. It's
right.
literally
they're
just the IFB, but they're a little bit angry about it.
Yeah, they're generally like people always talk about Jeremy Bolo, and they'll be like, "Well, he's not a Baptist," and I'm like, "Dude,
he's still in it. Yeah.
He's still in it, and he's still a part of it. It's just a different sect." So it's like he is a Calvinist, which is a little bit different than Gothard, who are like Salvationists.
Like, why is she talking about like? He totally disagrees with her and he's being nice. He really is nice to her, Pearl Girl. He's very respectful. He's very empathetic. It's true. The send next to the back button is on the back. Send next to the back button.
But, or like you're saved. But he also they have their cult leader, John MacArthur. And so, they all have the same feelings about women and racism and the LGBTQ plus.
So someone says here, says, let him finish, Katie, before you start talking over him, please. I'd like to hear what he has to say. Lynn says, please tell me someone warned this gentleman of KJ after his huge mistake of him to join. She reached out to him. His mistake was action. I believe that he has changed his mind. I've seen a Twitter post about it. I hate how she talks over him. So do I, Teresa. I hate it. She has no clue when someone is just being polite. She has no idea how to be a reporter. Oh, man, she makes me want to smack her through the phone. KJ, you need to learn how to conduct an interview and not be condescending to others. Pearl Girl said, yep, he cancelled. We all emailed him. I think he got a whole barrage of emails. KJ, you never be a journalist, not even a fake one.
It's just a different brand.
Yeah, and luckily, because I was in the IB for so long, I followed that camp for like probably a year. I was kind of in that world, maybe two. But I saw the red flags a lot faster. So I figured I got sucked into two. I was born into one. I got sucked into another kind of cultish group, but I was able to identify it faster. And so now if I can keep from going to a third, I feel like I'm pretty accomplished. But
probably just want to find a community, because you lose the community when you leave.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think community is so important. I think that's what most people, that's the other thing that keeps people in religions is the community side. And I'm very comfortable with the fact that I've built a community outside of the four walls of an institution that runs more like a business than a place of worship, you know. And I just, you know, I'm very comfortable with the fact that I probably won't be back into a four-walled building again. So.
It's incredible the database that you've like been able to put together. It's incredible, like what you're trying to do, like almost in a way, like righting whatever wrongs in a way. I feel like a lot of times people have a little bit of guilt when.
So what are you thinking so far about this? He's very brave. I would have left long ago. Yeah, look, I've listened to some of his podcasts, Diane. He actually is very, very interesting. And the other thing is, he doesn't attack in the nasty way that she does. You know, he gives you the facts and talks about his experience. Has anyone sat back and really looked at the you can literally notice the roller coaster of emotions we all go through. Thank goodness I have you. Yes. Yeah. He does look uneasy. He looks very uncomfortable. He really does. I don't know what to think about him. He hasn't had a chance to tell us. Oh, that's true, Don. He hasn't had a chance to talk. I would like to have heard more of what he had to say.
You realize they've been part of something like this.
Yeah.
But you don't really, I don't know. It's weird. You shouldn't have to feel guilty. You didn't have a choice.
Yeah, but it's hard not to. I mean, like I worked on a bus ministry and I invited people. I knock doors every Saturday, and it's like, you know, there's people in the church I grew up in. The song leader's a convicted sex offender, you know, and there's people that don't know that are there. And you know.
Well, commentator auditor, I actually have a copy of the video, so he's more than welcome to have it. The Justin that did the the journal one, he actually also had a really nice voice too, very nice. And again, he suffered some really horrible stuff, and yet there was no there wasn't the nastiness that is in KJ's voice. Why don't people go after KJ for being an atheist? What's the difference? She goes after God's people. I can try Totally Clueless. I'd be very interested. I can ask. That's all I can do. I'll see if I can ask him. But you do know that I did make somebody's video on the top 10 most problematic YouTubers. You know that, don't you? Which I still find to be hilarious.
I helped that ministry, build a lot of that fruit. So it is hard not to feel guilty.
Yeah.
But I think, I've mentioned it before too. I think if you're able to turn around and grab other people and take them out with you, that's a good route to go. It's like the horror movie trope. People get in the van, drive away from Crystal Lake. There's somebody that goes back and takes some other people and picks them up and takes them with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he did. I think Justin, wanted to tell his story and less about the birth. Well, that's and I think that, but I think also telling his story was a bit like his therapy as well. And this guy, I think, is doing more of. For me, I seem to think it's more of an education thing that he's doing. I'd be interested to hear from someone firsthand rather than having to look around to debunk Kate. Yes, it would be. Joe, you'll always be number. I think you will. ADHD is an excuse. She wants to monopolize that entire conversation, make it hers. How's it going? I hear you.
And it being like consistent with the messages.
Like, so someone
and
says,
it's hard.
someone says, what made you leave? I like, well, the wasted opportunity, KJ ruins everything. Could you imagine if Justin had gone to KJ? So again, that's a really interesting question. He said that he left, but I mean, you know, what got him to that point of leaving?
Not to get mad at the people involved. I mean, I get mad at the patriarchs 1,000%.
Yeah.
But it's hard to sometimes not get mad at the women because of the abuse that happens to the children. But then you realize the women are victims as well.
They don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And someone says, did you walk away from religion completely, or did you find a new one? So I'm somewhat saying that there probably won't be more episodes of Justin's podcast for that reason, though I guess I could blog about his ongoing. I guess he could do. Yeah, I know I was a bit sad that it finished the way it did, but I was really interested to see to hear how him and his wife met, and they actually met it through a homeschooler's website, and how, you know, if she wanted to court, he was prepared to do it. If KJ wants to always be about her, why does she interview and waste people's time? Hello, Eileen.
They don't have any choices.
No, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely hard. You know, like I have a lot less patience for the like ministry wives, you know, like pastors' wives and things like that. But even then, you know, I dodged a bullet in that I was not a woman in the movement. You know, I probably would have woken up a lot faster. But you know, it is. I can't imagine the pressure, and then not having a voice. Like, you know, I've talked to my wife about it. Like, you basically just have ownership under your dad, and then you transfer ownership to your husband, and there's no independent thought encouraged at all.
And you don't get fake. I mean, you go from your dad's control to your husband.
Like, why is she talking about what it's like in the family growing up as a woman? Like, she sounds like she's sounding like, oh, well, you don't even get to have control. And it's like, hello, you weren't in it. Why can't she say, well, is it, you know, I've read that this is what the lifestyle's like. Can you tell us what it was like being a young man growing up?
And then you're under the authority of your husband. You're not free.
Yeah.
And what I'm learning, which is really disturbing, is a lot of, like, in some of these circles, the relationships are almost like a bartered agreement between fathers. And
like she says, people asking whether was your wife part of the IFB, you know, how did you meet your wife? And oh, I'll tell you.
In a way, there's like dowries, and the better your purity, like the better your gift. And like, they won't call it a dowry, but it's such a dowry. I mean, They're selling their daughter's virginity to the highest bidder.
Yeah.
And the dads are arranging these, and sometimes before they're even adults. And the girls have no say. It's trafficking.
No, it's not. You don't know what trafficking is. It bugs me so much. It's not trafficking. It says human trafficking is the trade of humans for the purpose of forced labor, sexual slavery, or commercial sexual exploitation for the traffickers or others. Like, KJ, your viewers hear you all the time. Let the man speak. So another question. Was your wife raised in the IFB also? We shouldn't be surprised how she conducts the interview. Name this preacher boy interviewed by the Antichrist. Oh, wow. Thank you for the offer. Dang, she's such an idiot of trafficking. Add trafficking to the list of words KJ doesn't understand but uses. Silly. Hello. Hi, got to go. Have a good day. See you, Kelly. She has so much she knows. Once again, idiot. It'll go right after gaslighting. And like she knows just about enough of terms to apply it to people who think it would be his upbringing to be polite and nice. After all, he may have left that behind. I have LDS relatives and lovely people, no problems, attended their church many times, kids everywhere, but all very polite. She's literally trying to get him to agree with everything she says. I think at this point, I'm thinking he's just done with her. Watch a movie called 8 Days. That's trafficking. Trafficking is a very big, trafficking is a huge problem around the world. But marrying off your child to a husband is also occurs in a lot of arranged marriages occur in a lot of cultures, not just Christian cultures, in a lot of countries even. She upsets me so much. Okay, so you do not know or heard of arranged marriage, which is done through the world, a high success rate. No, that's right. It shouldn't be thrown around. It shouldn't be thrown around. It's a very big allegation, and it's I have to say I was done by this point. Oh, I love you, Joe. Don't know how you do this. I can't watch it by myself. Hey, this is my second time I've watched it, so, and I'm still getting upset.
I agree. Yeah, it's really, you know, my wife. Someone commented, "Was your wife in it?" No, she wasn't in it, but she was in kind of the more John MacArthur-y apologia. I would say more apologia, you know, and you know that was definitely her experience too. You know, like don't go to college, don't do this, like you know, stay here with the family until you get your own family. You know. And, you know, and again, there's an unlearning process there. And I think the other thing that's really sad is when people leave the movement, and I say this, like this hasn't really been our experience, but I've seen a lot of people who leave. And then when you have people that get married so young, and then they start questioning, it can cause a lot of damage to the marriage relationship too, because one person's out further than the other. And, you know, it's really hard. It's really tragic for a lot of people who leave.
Probably like, oh, child abuse isn't cool. We're not supposed to beat our kids. Oh, we're
right.
You know, like.
Oh, I told her yesterday. You know, I was holding my belt, and I was just like, I can't imagine like people I knew used to hit their kids with these. You know, like I can't ever imagine doing this to my 3-year-old. You know, but again, like if you would have asked me 10 years ago, I would have been like, well, of course. You know, like that's part of child rearing. You know, and so it's really crazy and scary and. You know, I don't know. I mean, all we can do is sound the alarm and hope people. I love that. I love what you do, and the amount of content you put out on YouTube just blows my mind because I know I have.
Look at that! Look at that! Look, he's blowing her trumpet. You need a shower to scrub off the stupid. Oh. Hey, I've got to try and go to sleep after this silly crow.
Show, and but it's awesome, and I think it's really important to shed light.
Yeah.
Look, now the hair's getting flicked.
Full-time job, so I feel like I have to. And I've been covering the Duggars for so long that it felt like, and I always tell people this, like I was never interested in the Duggars, but they're a very public figure that's in this movement that you can use as the example to explain all of the abuse. So their name brings in the viewer, but then through that, you can educate people about the cult and the...
Someone says here, I'm so glad I have Preacher Boy to fill my gaps in WOACB content. Whoever you are, I'm telling you, I would ditch the WOACB content and find others.
The abuse. And for a very long time, I got a lot of criticism because people did not want to believe, even though
Look, someone says, are you all atheists now, or do you have some faith? You know, again, that's a really interesting question. What does he think about God, or does he still believe in God? Does he, you know, what has he learned? That's what I'm interested in. Does he have a belief system now? Has it all gone? She is, isn't she?
Josh molesting stuff and the rape stuff and all of the cheating came out, they still wanted to believe it was just a mistake and you have to forgive and it's not that big of a deal. And why are you bothering this good Christian family?
Right.
And it's like, you don't understand. Like, this isn't.
It's they are the poster child for, you know, they're proclaimed to be the poster child of like what a perfect family looks like, but really they are poster children for what the actual movement believes and teaches. And so when you see the failures, like, again, Josh Duggars is just a public version of, like, I have hundreds of names that look just like that. They just don't have the high profile that Duggar does.
Josh Duggar is like one of thousands of men. Like, there could be a Josh Duggar in nearly every family. And I don't feel like I'm even exaggerating by that, because I literally have only talked to one woman that's come forward to me.
That's one woman who won't talk to her now. There are plenty of people who are valid YouTubers that do it. He did say he didn't know much about KJ at the time of the interview, but plenty of people have warned him. Yeah, and he's done some research now. I think he's gone back and he's watched a few more videos, and he's, you know. See, someone says, I left FIFB and now I understand my faith so much more. So some people leave those and then have an awakening in their faith. Some people leave and they completely lose their faith. So I'm interested. When her channel was dying and she was crying, the next day she was asking her subs what or don't want. They were tired of Duggars. She stated that Duggars were her cash cow. That's right. That's why in my tweet in response to something that he put on Twitter, I said all she's caring about is the money. I doubt every family has a patriarch who was a former state senator and wanted his son to become a political powerhouse. Exposers have been around for a long time, ever since before KJ. Well, guess what? Jesus was an exposer of the law of the Pharisees. Just saying.
Has not had an experience of sexual assault or abuse, whether it's been from her father, one of her siblings, a cousin, a church elder. It's like there's such extensive sexual abuse that happens, and they don't even know that it's abuse.
Yeah, that's the thing. So many.
No, this happened I think it was last night for you guys. It was still in my today. This is her most recent live.
Wouldn't even say yes, I was. Because, you know, and like I had Sheila Gregoire on, who wrote The Great Sex Rescue, you know, and like there's people who, you know, who didn't know that their husband sleeping with them while they were asleep was rape. You know, there was people who didn't know that they could say no, you know, or that they had consent, you know, so like there's stuff like that that's just absolutely wild. And so you've got a ton that will come out and say they're sexually abused, but then you've got to know, like, the rest don't even know what sexual abuse is, or even think it's possible if they're married. Like, I've heard that from so many people.
Yeah, I've heard that from many women. You know, you were saying, like, how, like, like, some people, like, the women don't have a choice or whatever, and, like, it's hard when one person's got a foot out the door and the other person's still in or whatever. Yeah. I've had a lot of women that have shown up to my channel with comments about how they had to leave their husbands when it got to the point where they couldn't participate in whatever it was their husband wanted them, whether it was abuse of their children or, you know, whatever, you know, it's like they reached a breaking point and the husband was like, there's nothing wrong with what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I have a good relationship with my parents, but I remember when the sex offender that's there now, when he came to the church and I was a high school senior, and the pastor said, "Oh, it's fine," and I told my dad, "No, it's not," because I was a 17-year-old and I was sold.
Hello, Heidi. She does say like so often. And yeah, you're right. I don't think she's listening to him. She's just trying to think. She's just now hoping to get the next word in.
To understand that that's not cool to have that there. I said, "So you're just taking the pastor's word for it?" If he says it's fine, it's fine. I said, "Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying." And like, that is like, if you can't get rid of that pastoral authority over the husband, that other umbrella piece isn't going to have any success. So you get to a point where you either have to like give up trying to break through that wall and like just hope it happens, or you have to just bolt. And it's really, that's a tough position as well, because again, you don't have a job, money, any opportunity to do that. So it can be really.
Yeah, and told me it took like 4 months to save up $400.
Yeah.
Just to like leave.
Yeah. Well, if you're a staff wife, like you're usually just a package deal with your husband, so you're not getting paid yourself.
Right.
What's the bet that there'll be a video on this conversation that she'll be making a video about how the wives don't get paid and they get gift vouchers? What's the bet that she does it like she did with the other thing, with the other podcast? Scraping her lips and everything else is not a good look. The weird part is she's from an area that sounds like that. I don't know anyone who says she's going to walk away from this believing everything she's said so far is now validated. Well, that's what she does. That's what she does afterwards.
Their wife got like $100 gift card a month for helping, and then her husband got the paycheck, which was less than a minimum wage paycheck. So it's pretty gnarly.
People get so mad at Anna for not leaving, and I'm trying to like temper. I'm mad.
She's trying to temperance people who are so mad at Anna. Who do you know that gets so mad at Anna? Who do you know that have you seen that has gotten so mad at Anna, done a huge amount of videos on the fact that she can't leave, won't leave, when there are people that say we have to give Anna grace? He has even enough respect to shut his ceiling fan off. She yelled at members on him. This party is awful. KJ, yes. She's trying to temperance people. All right. She tries to temperance people with Anna. Don't forget that. She's the one. She did state that Wind Whispers. She's going to go to spiral when he denounces this interview. Trying to be the cool mum. Have seen so much saying allow Anna space. She's having a difficult time. That's what we're all saying. That most of us are saying we need to give Anna space and time because of the situation that she's in.
Life, like you're usually just a package deal with your husband, so you're not getting paid yourself.
Right.
Their wife got like $100 gift card a month for helping, and then her husband got the paycheck, which was less than a minimum wage paycheck. So it's pretty gnarly.
People get so mad at Anna for not leaving, and I'm trying to like temper. I'm mad.
Sometimes I trust me. I know I get mad too, but it's hard to balance that. But also too, it's like there's still a response. It'd be easier to not get mad if she wasn't a mother. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's what makes it really hard. But also like I understand. It's tricky. I go back and forth. Like some days I'm like I get it, and then some days I'm just like, man, what?
You can speak to the fact in the cult. It's like the men.
She did say gnarly. She's really trying to. I know she is.
The marriage is before everything else.
Yeah.
And so the couple values themselves and their relationship more than anything else, and the kids are just like this extension of God's gift.
Right.
They don't get the individual attention that they need. They don't get the education that they need. It's just God's blessing us with.
Like, why is she talking to him and telling him what it's like what it's like raising a family. He was raised in a family like that. He said he lived 7 days at the church with his parents. Like, hello. Oh.
We don't know what the fuck we're gonna do with them, but you know.
Blessing us with children, and now we can't afford our rent. You know, it's like it's not practical for everybody unless you've got a TLC show. Then it becomes a little bit easier because you're getting big checks for Jim Bob.
Well, and I think like Jim Bob has really done a huge, massive, like he has shown people in this cult how to grift and how to use social media and use media to do their books and their CDs and their videos. Like he's shown them the blueprint of how to grift so that they can afford their kids. And I've noticed that in these families, they're all self-sufficient because literally working for anyone is apparently like frowned upon.
Well, people when they leave the cult, they need a job and a room to stay. This will help them leave the cult. KJ, can you help? We'd all be dead if we did shots on the word like. Just like you and Toad grift. Her voice could remove the socks off your feet. Hello, GTA and opinions. Why do you think that there's so many musical groups in large families? When she locks her lips and bites her M&Ms, she really looks like she's a step on Disney Cinderella. I was thinking it because he needs to know. All right, I'll see. As I said, I'll contact him and see what he says.
And they can't afford shit until they get famous, and then they completely forget about what they cared about.
If they cared about it in the first place, which I don't think. I think that the tricky thing about this too, and I do have to jump off in just a second because my daughter's on the door about it. But no, the thing that is tricky about this is that I think the Jim Bobs of the world know what they're doing. I think he's revealed his hand a lot. I think the issue is, you know, when you get into the next group, you look at like a Jessa Duggar, you know, you look at a, you know, fill in the blank with any of the kids. There's a lot of them where they believe what their dad taught, and they're not. You know what I mean? So like, I think there's some that might, you know, but like, it's kind of, you have these. You know, I talk about this with like second generation IFB pastors. Like, you have these accidental cult leaders who are following all the curriculum of the cultish leader before them, but they believe that's what's going to help people. They believe that's what's going to actually help society. And so when you're dealing with someone who is well-intentioned, but using all these horrible, you know, trauma-inducing tools, you know, that's a lot harder to reconcile because they're going like, I know my intentions, they're good. And it's like, no, but your methodology is really bad, and your way of doing it is really bad.
They have nothing to compare it to, because in the case of, say, like Ginger Duggar, who just wrote a book, she literally thinks that book's going to change people's lives, and it's not. It's filled with a lot of terrible practical advice about eating.
Like, why can't she? I like, she's just now ripping into Ginger. Like, after everything he said about empathy and grapes, like, hello. She just waits. She can't. She's just waiting for an opportunity to talk. You can't listen and talk at the same time.
That aren't going to help your eating disorder, and you know, praying away anxiety, and it's terrible, right? It sets a horrible precedent to people because you cannot conquer an eating disorder by Bible. You just can't. No. But she believes that she has because her parents told her.
Perfectly well intentioned.
Yeah.
But super harmful at the same time. But yeah, I do have to jump off. I'll plug one thing if I can. It's not for me, it's for something else. But I just interviewed Peace Amati, and she wrote this book, Why Do I Feel Like This?
Look at their face just drop. Oh, that's all right, silly crow. Oh, gave the book a positive review online, yet she trashed it every chat. She does. She did give a positive review online. And now he's promoting someone else's book and she's not happy. How do you know what Ginger's intentions and current beliefs are? I thought the interview was him telling her about the life, not her telling him how she thinks everyone should believe. Talk about contradiction, KJ. How can advice be practical and horrible at the same time?
Is a really good book. She's an actual psychologist and kind of breaks down, like different emotions, traumas, things you experience in religious systems and things. It's really, really solid and really good. So definitely, if you want an alternative to kind of the Duggar-esque manuals for anxiety and trauma, I definitely recommend it. And I would definitely love to stay in touch with you. I've been watching your stuff. And everybody, you're watching.
I feel like having someone, I've been trying to get someone in the world to come on.
Vice versa, I'd love to have you on.
I'm not from this world. I'm just, once I got into it, I couldn't leave when I saw the amount of abuse that was happening. And now it's hard to get out.
Yeah.
Because now you feel like
it's hard to get out.
Huh?
I say you just summed up the people that go in the IFB. Oh, it's interesting, and I just can't get out. I relate to
right,
that.
but now I feel like this sense of responsibility to use my platform in a way to like educate people to understand that what they're seeing on TV is not true, and like don't buy it. And then, cause what concerns me about the Duggars and the Bates is they're using their shows to recruit people.
Yeah. I've watched Telltale as well on YouTube. I find that he's an ex-JW, so he I found some of his stuff very helpful too.
And that's the problem.
No,
I feel
absolutely.
bad that.
No, absolutely, and I really do. I appreciate what you're doing, and everybody in the comments, take up a love offering to drop a couple hearts and stuff in there. Definitely support what's happening, and really do appreciate you bringing me on the live. Next time I go done, and I'll throw on a suit. And we'll have straight up Sunday service on here.
Yeah.
but yeah, thanks for having me on, and thanks everybody for watching. Really appreciate it.
Bye.
All right, thank you. I don't know. Born into one, I got sucked into another kind of cultish group, but I was able to identify that, stay here. It's like sun here. But yeah, thanks for having me on, and thanks everybody for watching. I really appreciate it.
Bye.
All right, thank you. I don't know how to leave. Here we go. There it is.
Okay, so that was so fun. I love him. I forgot to ask him what's his name again? I didn't even get his name. That was amazing. Thank you guys.
I love him. I didn't even get his real name. The Preacher Boys, I think, is the name of the channel. I love him. I didn't even get his real name. Just watching for now, and it was so fun having you on my channel. What's your name? I love the dude. Like, really, what was his name again? Joe, I'm trying to work. Laura, sounds like a one-night stand. That's what I was thinking. No, this was the first interview. If you want to do it, you should do Michael McDonald case. It starts from a divorce, ends up with him going to jail for burglary. All right, I'll have a look at that one. Michael McDonald. I just don't have enough hours in the day. All right. Good way to hold it together. Couldn't help but notice all the flirting with the married man. I don't think she said that before. She didn't even tag him on Twitter. I know. At least you'll be able to ask for Eric when you chase him up. Oh dear. Oh, well, she was flirting with him. I was waiting for KJ. Waiting for KJ to say it was good for you. Was it good for you? Well, I remember he put up some curtains. My husband said she's done. She's snapped out of her one. I know. Don't forget to write me. Well, she didn't get his number either, did she? So, or will she be sitting by her DMs waiting for a message? And he doesn't DM.
Thank you. That was awesome. I love doing collaborations with people that have the same mindset. To me, there's no such thing as competition in this world because everyone has the same goal.
There's no such thing as collaboration. I mean, no such thing as competition, only collaboration.
Thank you, guys.
Oh.
Thank you. That was awesome. I love doing collaborations with people that have the same mindset. To me, there's no such thing as competition in this world because everyone has the same goal, right? Everyone's trying to bring further awareness about something. And, you know, we all just have a different way of doing things. And I love that he is trying to right a wrong. You know, like
she says, I enjoyed watching you both interact. There was no interaction. I want to collaborate with whatever his name is. Massage in the bottom. It's so incredible how she pawns herself with her own. Amazing worship preparation interview skills. How was that collaboration? She rang you from I don't think you'll be back, Mary HB.
Feels responsible and now he wants to like that and help other people. So that's amazing. I also love that he, because of his like involvement in that world, he has all these connections. Like I don't have those kind of connections. I have to build them.
Bingo! That's why you want to get to know him, because he's got connections that you don't. Bingo! It was great. People didn't need to be rude to him. That's what she wants. She wants his connections. Let's face it. That's what she wants.
Yeah, I've used his website before. That's why I'm like, I've literally used his website as a resource. It's kind of cool. So it's neat. I think I've tweeted at him, but I don't know if he responded. So anyways.
All right, now we're going to get a lecture on NDAs and sources and why she doesn't, and why she doesn't sign NDAs. What about the thousands of orphans in India now that are scrambling to protect from traffickers? She could concentrate on those. It's out there. She wants. And as soon as I heard the connections, I went, that's what this is all about, connections. Because she says he's got connections that I don't. Bingo.
Were people being rude to him? I didn't see anyone being rude to them. No, that guy is from the Preacher Boys podcast. And basically what he does is he uncovers all the different pastors in the IFB that are abusing children and raping women and all of that. Like, this guy has a podcast. And he was in the IFB. Preacher Boys Doc. You can follow him there. He does all of his stuff is about the IFB. There's a Twitter account and a YouTube channel called like IFB Clips or Sermons, which also has like some insight to how these men use their pulpits and teach, and it's the crap they espouse. And I think it's hard because anytime you talk about a group of people get really sensitive about the word cult. But no, so the independent fundamentalist Baptists are different than the IBLP, but they're kind of the same because they interchange. Like the IBLP it's like a self-help group that uses Christianity, and that's a cult that the Duggars are in. But a lot of the IFB churches incorporate the IBLP into so much of their services that it has become almost like a cultural thing. So even though the IBLP is very specific, and if say someone's in the IFB and they're not a part of the IBLP, they might still be part of a church that uses the principles that the IBLP teaches. So if you hear people talking about principles in the Bible, they're usually from the IBLP because that's what Bill Gothard, like he says there's 7 principles or there's 11 principles. And if you just follow these 11 principles, you'll be having the best life. But Bill continues to add more and more and more and more and more rules. So when you start hearing people talk about principles, that's kind of like a hot button in the IBLP. That's a word they use. They take a lot of normal words and they become like code in the cult, and they become their own words for their own language. And so you have to get kind of used to how they speak. Like joyfully available in the IBLP would be considered like keep sweet in the LDS or the FLDS. So if Warren Jeff says keep sweet, the IBLP would say be joyfully available. Basically, don't talk back, don't argue, always be happy, watch your weight, give it up to your husband, don't be a difficult
Oh, isn't he's not part of the IBLP anymore? So why does she keep going after him?
So, yeah, it's all very similar. And once you start studying all these different things, you start to see an overlap in teachings. Like almost all the cults I've looked at, they almost have all the same proponents. They're all
oh no, you know what? They all use the Bible. Of course they're going to overlap in many ways. Because they use the Bible.
generally incredibly misogynistic. So yeah, okay. So my video that I'm about to get uploaded, it's like 22 minutes. So I think I'll do a premiere with it so you guys can do the live chat with it on YouTube. And they are all led by men. Yeah. A cult is a cult.
What does that even mean?
Polygamy is a cult. The polygamous cults in Utah, they're all cults. I don't know that you want to hear that, but that's true. And Jehovah's Witnesses are a cult. Yes, the IBLP is expensive, and so the wealthier families of the IFB are a lot of times in the IBLP. The IBLP is really expensive. All right, so I have to go because I got to make a thumbnail for this, but it's going to be about another cover-up, and we will keep going. Again, if you are a survivor, if you are from this world, reach out to me. Now, I just need to put this caveat out here. There's a lot of people that are sending me leads that are not doing this for the right purposes, that are trolling or trying to be a part of the story because they feel like they could offer me something. So if you reach out and you share information with me, don't be surprised if I ask questions to verify you, because I'm not going to put out content that, one, is false, I'm not going to defame or slander anyone, and I'm certainly not going to put out anything that I can't verify.
nearly choked. Hello, mental block. I didn't mean to do that big, but she's not going to put out anything that's false or slandering. All right, okay. I'm just going to hear that again.
I just need to put this caveat out here. There's a lot of people that are sending me leads that are not doing this for the right purposes, that are trolling or trying to be a part of the story because they feel like they could offer me something. So if you reach out and you share information with me, don't be surprised if I ask questions to verify you, because I'm not going to put out content that, one, is false. I'm not going to defame or slander anyone, and I'm certainly not going to put out anything that I can't verify. So if you're going to contact me and say, I'm not going to tell you anything until you give me an NDA, I don't sign NDAs with anyone. I don't.
Guess what, Tati? She's not going to sign an NDA. I could imagine if somebody was really, really, like if somebody had really like inside information, like about the Duggars, they're going to want an NDA, because we know, we know that she reveals all her sources, you know. No defamation. She just said I don't sign NDAs with anyone.
Into a binding legal contract with people that want to give me information, because that in and of itself feels very problematic to me, and I don't want to be on the receiving end of any legal issues. As a rule, I just do not sign NDAs.
So there you go. She doesn't sign NDAs. She's not doing it for the right reason. She puts out false content all the time. She's been on Oh dear.
When you're reaching out to me, you have to just be comfortable with the fact that I will protect your anonymity.
No, you won't.
But I certainly am not going to sign a legally binding contract simply for you to talk to me. Like, I've had 2 people now in the last 2 days try to do that. And when I kind of pushed back, one person was a troll, obviously. But anyways, I'm not going to sign NDAs, just so you know, with people that want to be sources. That's just so weird. I think people are maybe afraid. I don't know. Long story short, and you're using weird sock accounts, and I ask why you're using a weird sock account, don't be weirded out, because using a weird sock account, it's not a typical way to share information. Unless
you want to be anonymous and you don't want you can't use your real name, you idiot.
Of course, you're scared, and then you can explain that to me. But yeah, I always verify. You always want to verify. You don't want to put out information. You don't want people that are trolling and giving you bad information, because that can ruin your credibility. So that's why today it took me so long to get my videos out, because I had to spend all this time figuring out if SM Davis was related to Caleb Williams. And that took me a while. So I'll be back later. I will share this on my stories so you can.
And she's about to go. There you go. And she went without saying goodbye again. Oh, there you go. So what did you make of that? Like, people want NDAs because they know that she can't keep her mouth shut. All right. So let's have a look. Right, I'm just going to show you. So she did this live video. No, and Preacher Boy actually bought a whole part. He bought some badges, which I thought was very generous of him. Okay. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you the redacted, and then I'm going to show you. So this is. So when I'm talking about doxing. So she did this video, bombshell cover up. Josh Duggar isn't the only man that Jim Bob has protected from the law. Now, I've actually redacted this. If you remove all the grey bits, that was all visible. So the address of where they lived, their ages. This is doxing as far as I'm concerned. Now, before someone says, well, you know, you've just made that up and, you know, she really did. This is the original, and I'm more than also happy to go to her original video. So this is the unredacted. So this is so if you went to her video and you go to 11:11, and I'm going to hold this up for a very short time because I don't want, you can see all the information. So you've got the address, the possible current residence for an address, and all the names, their ages, the first scene, last scene. Now, she said she was going to redact information. Why has she put an address up where somebody can be found? I'd ask. She always fails. Yeah. Oh, it's Tina's crazy life here too. Cool. Yeah, I don't know. Some people are saying that. So, so that's what she did. So if you go to that video, and you go to 11:11, that is what you'll see the address. So she's essentially given an address out. I don't know whether the guy still lives there anymore. I don't know whether they still whatever. But I find it pretty tacky. So I'll just show you the redacted one again. So remember, she had an address up here. She has their ages, the date that they were first seen, the date that they were last seen. Now, she did redact the top and the bottom. But there was an address that was shown, and I don't think that should have been shown, in my opinion. Cover up to make nobody knows, oh, nothing to see here. So just so that you can see, 11 out of a 21-minute video. So I didn't watch it. I was just told to look at this time code. As you can see, I had the volume off. I went straight to that part of the video and I screenshotted it. She said Jim Bob protected them because they stayed with him, apparently. So that to me is a dox. Is it not? So here it is again, just very quickly. This is what she had on her channel. Just quickly. And that's straight from her channel. So if somebody wants to pause it and do whatever they do, they're welcome to do that. The other thing is, this is her Instagram. She also, in 2007, the Duggars allowed a family friend, Caleb Williams, to move into their home. Caleb was charged with and impregnation of a minor when he was 21 to 24 years old. The victim was 14 when the abuse started. Last year, I interviewed someone with direct knowledge of how Caleb began living with the Duggars. According to a source, after Caleb the girl, and she became pregnant, was sent to Arkansas to stay with the Duggars. While in Arkansas, the Duggars were supposed to provide spiritual guidance and help Caleb, according to a source. The source suggested the Duggars were allegedly aware of what Caleb had done. The source continued, Caleb, 23, and the girl, 16, were in love. They also claimed that Caleb states the girl's mum allowed the relationship to happen because young marriages are not uncommon. Yeah, I think this is a dox as well, myself. Minister has do they? I think so. And she's highlighted something down here too. Sadly, within this cult, relationships between men and minors is not uncommon, though not publicly discussed. The girl's mother allegedly pressed charges against Caleb when the girl became pregnant. Caleb was allegedly sent to Arkansas during this time to keep him away from the girl. She's just said this. Caleb was charged with aggravated criminal SA, a class 2 felony. He accepted a plea deal and got a slap on the wrist. He's now on probation and a registered sex offender in Illinois. The Duggars never denounced Caleb or explained why they allowed him to live in their home, given the severity of his crimes. I guess it's another day in the cult where Jim Bob and Michelle think they can simply reform sexual predators with prayer ministry, while also allegedly exposing their underage daughters to the predator. In my opinion, there's so much more we don't know about this family. So then this is his court order. Defendant day spends 62 days without a day for good time and time credit to apply. I know, it's just so there's that one. So, and that was the person that she put the address up for. Now, I don't know whether he still lives there, but that is still an address. So, recovering grace. This is about recovering grace. Post on recovering grace. This is like she's just sharing her Twitter on her Instagram. Then Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar consistently promote a pastor named SM Davis. And again, this is him. Is a pastor that also key speaker for the IBLP. SM, whose name is Sharon, became friends with the Duggars through IBLP when his grandsons got into legal trouble. It seems the family shipped the kid down to Arkansas to stay with them. A former friend of the Davis family who grew up with Joshua and Caleb reached out today to tell me that Caleb Williams is the grandson of SM Davis. Caleb is a registered sex offender for and impregnating a 16-year-old. His mother, Dawn, legal name Jennifer, bailed him out after his arrest. Why is she giving everybody their names? Per the sex offender website, Caleb's address is listed by a home that is owned by SM Davis per property records, and that's what she shared. Caleb lived with the Duggars for months after he got the girl pregnant. Charges were later filed. He pled guilty, received a slap on the wrist. The IBLP tried to cover up the connection between Caleb and SM Davis. It seems just another day in this twisted cult. Yeah, she just doxed Caleb Williams. She's just shown a clip from the sex offender register that's got his address on it. So that's the Preacher Boy podcast, which we just saw. Join me now for another bombshell story on the cover-up. It's with a Doxxing. Now my sex between an adult and a minor is illegal, period. Stop justifying a 23-year-old man grooming and sexually abusing a girl from the time she was 13 to 16. It's gross. I was saying, for me, this is what I have an issue with. In Australia, the age of consent is 16. So when I see trying to justify a 21-year-old man getting a girl pregnant at 16 and she says it's illegal, I understand it's illegal in the United States. But in my country, the age of consent is 16. And I look at that and I go, oh, it's, like I don't blink an eye. It's not really doxing a public life. Well, that is true, Pugs and Pizza. I understand that. But I just don't think it's her job to publicly advertise the registry. So that was that. I just wanted to look at something else just before for about 4 hours. She did for about 4 hours. So look, the legal age is 16 in your state. See, that's the thing. I mean, it's legal in my state. So I'm just going to go back to Twitter because I wanted to see what this. I'm going to just have a look at. Anything about a screenshot of Jocelyn? I thought that was federal. Oh, who knows? The play-by-play is horrible. Right. So I'm going to look at. I'm going to go to Mrs. Care. I had a posting from from the podcast guy. She only sticks to Duggars' household. That's right. That's my issue, is that she only sticks. I don't think we need. Well, that's true too. But as I was saying, that at 16 is the age of consent in Australia. So, like, if it happened in Australia, he wouldn't be on the registry, unless where are we? I think it was this one. Even if it's legal in some states, just it should be even so. You still know the laws of your state. That is true. That is true. All right, let's have a look. I'm still having a look. I can't see it at the moment. I reported her posting sex offenders picnic info. Well, the thing is, I know that lots of people are reporting it, and the problem is it just doesn't seem to be it doesn't seem to be doing any good, and that's the problem that I've got issues with. Because of trolls complaints, someone said last night she has very little interaction on videos too. I've reported KJ's most offensive Instagram and Twitter. Well, there's a lot of people posting stuff at the moment, and it just doesn't seem to be. Don't know what I don't know what they really want us to do, because it's just really hard. All right, I'm just going to look at. In the US, we post sex offenders' name. We'll see. Yeah, it's interesting because we still have a sex offenders registry, and like the local area gets told who's moving in, but that's about as far as we go. Like, I don't know that I can go and publicly. I mean, I haven't looked. I probably should look. I don't think that I can just go and get it. So. I report her videos and the tweets all the time. Oh, here we go. There was something else here. All right, this is Preacher Boy's. This is his Twitter. Preacher Boy, Katie. This is. KJ lacking joy is about to wreck your world. He says, I began following her pretty recently. I am unaware of any controversy. I'm looking into it. He says, oh, be careful with her. I will be moving forward, he says. And then I've gone, she's only interested in the money. Oh, thank you, Ellie. It's so nice of you. So generous. So, yeah, so he said he will be moving forward. So that's as much as we know. He's looking into it. But let me just show you the difference. So this is his website. This is his Twitter here. So this is his, oops. So if we go to his website, well, that's his, obviously that's that's him. So he's got, if you have a story of abuse within, please feel free to contact me. And he's got a link there on his webpage. So let's go look at his webpage. So this is his, right? He's got here, you can listen, you can watch, exposing, engaging, equipping. This is what he does. You can watch the latest video. There you go, that's him. His name's Eric. So she obviously didn't do much research because it's on his website. All right. So he's got a podcast. So that's him. And I think that's the interview he's just done. But this is what I really liked. Look, so survivor resources. Look, you click on survivor resources. You are not alone. Look. He's put in there a whole pile of resources there. If you call 911, there's some more resources there. The National Trafficking Hotline, Education Advocacy, Grace, and Out of the Shadows. See, he's not even mentioned what she's mentioned. There's the abuser database. So, oh, look, Australia and Canada. So, Brisbane, apparently. The source, and so he's linked the source. So where that's come up, deported New Zealand pastor has been. Oh, actually, he's put Australia, but he's actually New Zealand. New Zealand Christian pastor has been deported from Australia. So he's linked each one. He's linked each one with a source. So each one of those, and if there's any information there for them. So anyway, so he's got that. So he's got Ryder versus. So this was a lawsuit. So some court cases, and the defendant case information. What he does, she should do. Stories of survivors, yeah. And then, so yes, that was obviously a copy of the full lawsuit. So there was a lawsuit here. He's got a blog. So he writes stories. Oh, look, avoid echo chambers. So, okay, so there's that one. He's got support the show if you want to support the mission. So what the money's going to. Okay, so there's that. So yeah, then you can listen. How you can listen to the podcast, Fortify, sign up and be one of the first to have access to our new content that will help schools, churches, and organizations better safeguard themselves. And then he's got a link for you to share your story. So fill in your contact details, we'll get back to you. And so there's also an email address. So his website, and then he's got Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. So that's his website. And when I came on here before, I love the dude that is his journal too. Can't remember his YouTube name. Oh, that was really nice as well. And the more of us that don't watch it directly, the more has an impact it has. He's way above KJC. He is. And this is what I'm saying. She has the perfect opportunity to have. She's just posted a story on Instagram. Oh, really? No, she hasn't, has she? Oh, I don't want to know. Oh, is she? Another one. So she's awake. Hello, KJ. Oh, that's awesome. So I just find that, it's very, she has two. Oh, Micah and James Stuffer has a recent comment, and Jamie Stuffer's Stuffer Garage has a comment. Someone says, sorry to hear about you and Micah. I hope you both find the happiness you deserve. James likes the post. I did some research and couldn't find any divorce filings in Ohio. I have no idea if they split. Deaf Noodles was the first to report. So there you go. The thing is, I always have said she's in the position where she could have a very powerful and strong platform and a strong voice. And what the Preacher Boy is doing is exactly what she could be doing. Exactly what she could be doing. But he's focusing, and don't forget, he's focusing on the IFB most essentially, because that's what he knows. But but she says, oh yes, I've used his site. She's used his database that he's done. I thought she was too, but defamation noodles. Well then, so anybody that's watching and needs, I would recommend Preacher Boys. So this is the Grace. This is one of the links that he gave us. So this is the Grace, a great godly response to abuse in the Christian environment, empowering Christian communities to recognize, prevent, and respond to abuse. So this is one of the ones that he's done. So right. See you, Sarah. So Grace has a whole pile of resources and videos to help people. So this is children are abused at alarming rates in the United States. Roughly 2/3 of children go at least one adverse childhood experience. The heavy physical, emotional, and relational toll of abuse are widely accepted, but the spiritual impact of abuse has been overlooked. So remember, this is what the Preacher Boys, this is from one of his sites that he's recommended. So it says most occur in the family home. So scripture says several times that the family reflects the believer's relationship with God. The model is corrupted when abuse occurs. Scripture is used often to misuse to justify or minimize abuse, condone inaction, force premature or misunderstood forgiveness, and silence and blame the victim. The survivor is left with intense questions of value and worth. Abuse can breed anger towards God and an inaccurate view of God's nature, doubt in God's existence, and host a damaging and inaccurate spiritual belief. The image of God as a secure base who empowers believers to go into the world is corrupted. The view of God as a safe haven to which the believer can flee in times of distress and suffering is damaged. The church can be used by God to be an incredible source of healing. A healthy response from the Christian community can change the way trauma is experienced and its long-term effects. He gets an F. So anyway, so this is a Christian organized. This is response to abuse from a Christian perspective, which I think is so there. So that was Preacher Boys, one of Preacher Boys' links. So under survivor resources. So as I said, I would really recommend his resources. So that was Grace, and then there was Out of the Shadows. So, oh look, someone from Out of the Shadows has done something about Josh Duggar. So this is this other one here. So Out of the Shadows has a website, civil lawsuit. So let's have a look, see what it is. It looks like it's again one that could be donated to. Out of the Shadows provide resources to survivors of SA, both male and female, of all ages. Often the individual journey to pursue healing takes years. We connect survivors and families with the resources they need at any stage of the journey. We educate, raise awareness, and provide information on current laws concerning SA and the statute of limitations nationwide. We resource assist schools, religious organisations, churches, and communities to recognise, mobilise, and help prevent SA. We are a voice for victims. Out of the Shadows' mission is to let victims tell their stories, raise awareness, and activate the public on SA and abuse victims. As I said, she could easily use her platform for good. Oh, you'd love to see me interview the Preacher Boys. Oh, as I said, I will contact him. But anyway, so these are his sites on his help. So there's stories, there's resources, there's like, do you know somebody, legal options, reading resources, legislative laws, articles. So there's a whole victim advocacy. What else have we got here? Oh yeah, I'm still here. So anyway, and then they've listed some more sites here. So they've got victim advocacy, 1 in 6, Foundation for Survivors, Darkness to Light, Grace, Male Survivor, RAIN, Parenting, Stop It Now, Together We Heal. So even this site gives lots of options. And as somebody said, KJ gave links that were out of date. So, which I find to be really bizarre. So, anyway, well, watch. These websites will now appear somewhere. So, and it says you can share your story. So anyway, survivors news, survivors thoughts, and they have a blog. So anyway, if you are needing some help or assistance and you're watching this, please check out these sites from Preacher Boys podcast. The hidden links, I know. So please check those out. You can always contact myself. I can get you some links for if you're in a different country. I can find out some stuff for you if you need to. But please, if you need help, please reach out and get it. All my videos are orange at the moment, and that's fine. So I was going to say I'm not making lots of money from these videos, and I don't want to either. So I have no problem with that. So and she couldn't even be bothered to make sure the links were valid. They could have been phishing sites for all she knew. No wonder KJ wanted those clod hopping sandals. She's trying to say she has no socks. Yes. Ah. His mum apparently wrote a book, I think. Oh, Aunt Izzy, oh, thank you. Oh, look, I just really don't like, I just don't like the stuff that comes out of her mouth at the moment, and it's just, yeah, it's not good. So this preacher boy just wanted to, I just got scrolling down his Twitter. He says, "Hey guys, do me a favor and snag a copy of my mum's book today. It's called Plague of Lies." So obviously she's left. So here it is. It's available. The cover-up didn't have the desired effect. The lies could not be contained and rippled through the community. So she's obviously. You wrote 2 books, Will. Oh, well, let me know what they are and I'll promote them for you. I don't know whether it's a fictional book or whether it's fictional or whether it's true to life, but yeah. So anyway, unless it's to say KJ doesn't do any research. She's a T channel, not a journalist. So for those of you on the replay crew, please let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think that Katie Joy did actually do a dox, or should the guy, because he's on the register, be allowed, or is that fair game now? I don't think my opinion is I don't think that it's I don't think the address should have been listed, but that's just me. I mean, I just think that that's not integrity. Okay, Joe, both are poetry, are they? Oh, your books are both poetry books. Well, okay, cool. So thank you all for joining me. I've got some stuff that I'm still working on, so I'll make contact with Eric and see whether would be open for a chat, and we'll see what happens. But no, the dress shouldn't have, especially if she thinks he's living. Well, she's saying the grandparents are covering up his crimes as well, so she's probably thinking it's fair game. But again, I don't know. In America, the picture and the dress of offenders is in a book in the library for all to see. Yeah, but being in the library is not on a website, not on a site with 160,000 people. People would have to literally, you'd still have to go there. Like, I don't know. Like, as I said, there's stuff, even though I'm going to just have a look. I'm just going to check something. I don't think you can get it in Australia. I don't think I can get it. Yeah, see, so there is a published. I'm just seeing what the deal is in Australia. Sets of. Right, so our registry is not public, by the way. Currently, in most jurisdictions, the registers are highly restricted in terms of public access. So only law enforcement has access to them. So there you go. And apparently, KJ should permanently wear the snip shirt. Yeah. The grandparents are not coming up if he's on the register, but letting him live there should be put them at risk. Yeah. So, and it's interesting because if you, depending on what your crime is, so if it's a class 1 offence in Australia, class 1 or class 2, or 1 class 1 offence or 2 class 2 offences, your details will be on the register for 15 years. 1 count of class 2 will be 8 years. And if you're a child, when you were convicted of the offence, you're not automatically subjected to it. Or someone just look at our home, they notify, but no one needs to give out the address online. If an offender moves within 10 miles. Yeah. So, and that's where I really have issues, because like there's so much stuff that is like protected in Australia that you don't have protected. So I have trouble with that sometimes. So so I hope you can understand sometimes where I'm coming from, because I just, yeah, like, oh, now I'm saying like all the time. I just want you to know that I look at things from the perspective of Australia. So, you know, and how we do things, and you do a lot of things different. I like how we're all on the same page here. Like, see, that's what happens when you listen to a lot. You start saying like. All right, well, I need to go to bed. Like, that my new joke. Like, I just chucked that other word in just for fun. But I'll catch it all tomorrow night. I've got quite a bit of. I've got some recording to do tomorrow, so that's going to be fun. Oh, by the way, in case you didn't know, Australia was in Eurovision. And unfortunately, we didn't make it through to the semi-finals. We got kicked out. So we got kicked out. And don't ask me how we got into Eurovision. I don't know, because we're not even in Europe. But it's seen as protection for our families. We feel the need to know and have a right. Privacy laws don't if you were a proprietress. Well, and that I guess here, like as I said, law enforcement know, and I think and certain people know, but yeah, they don't. It's the first time Australia missed the Eurovision final since we joined Eurovision. No, I don't think so. I don't know why America's not in Eurovision. We'd be happy if America's not in Eurovision, because like it was we've been in there for a few years actually. I don't know, like we got a guest entry in, and then they did so well that they've given us they've said yeah, you can't go with these. You can never win. Well, this is usually we get up we've been in the top 2 or 3 quite often. So, but not this time. I have to say the song didn't impress me this year. I have to say, but anyway, so we didn't get into Eurovision. So. All right. So on that note, I am bidding farewell. Adieu to you and you and you. And I'll see you tomorrow night. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out if you can, please. Thank you.